Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder and this is BRN AM for Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. And here are our top stories: an auto insurance checkup and why you may want to consider an umbrella policy. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Ashley King of State Farm Insurance. Ashley, thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So we're here upon 2021. We're about to throw out 2020, but a lot of things that people need to be thinking about, not just the financial decisions of managing your budget or putting away more retirement income. One of the things they should be thinking about is their auto insurance, right, Ash?
Absolutely. It's a great thing to review every so often, because what we find is a lot of people, when they set up their insurance, they're at a point in life to where they either, if they're a younger generation, they're just carrying on what mom and dad have, or they haven't reviewed it in a number of years and life has changed, right? Where life for you has been probably a year, 2, 3 years ago is different than where you're at now. So it's always good to stay on top of your insurance and what your coverages are.
Now, when you're going out there, Ashley, and you're comparing, I mean, there obviously are, we're talking with you of State Farm.
Sure.
State Farm is a great company, obviously, and there are lots of good companies out there. But how do you compare apples to apples? Because one of the things that I know in working through my own car insurance is there's different liability coverages. There's things like towing. So what's a good way for consumers out there to kind of put things side by side and say, I need this, I don't need this, and how do my prices compare?
Absolutely. So with that, I think it's great for people to, it depends on what they want. Like there are certain people who are self-sufficient, right? To where they know exactly what they want to do it online. But then there's others to where they want to have a conversation with somebody, to where it all depends on what your needs are, right? Are you, depending on if you want full coverage or liability only, would you be comfortable with coming out of a couple $100s or thousands of dollars to fix your car? Or do you want someone to actually have a conversation with you, get to know your needs, and make recommendations to say, hey, this is what, after having a conversation with you, this is what I would recommend for your situation. So it's always great to talk to a couple different places, but then whatever's important to you when choosing an insurance company, go down that route. Like for me, I would want that relationship versus having to call a 1-800 number and sit on hold for 30 minutes at a time. I mean, that's a big impact, especially when you need us, right? Your insurance is only important when you need it. And when you get into an accident, that's our time to shine as your insurance company.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there's advocacy that is done by the insurance agent or administrator, someone that you're working with. And I guess it all comes down to your personal preference. I mean, there's all different models as you're suggesting. Ashley, one of the things that I've been noticing when I peruse or I see the commercials or I look online is now they have the ability, the insurance companies have the ability to basically reward you if you drive well. And what I mean by that is if you don't accelerate, I have a tendency to accelerate. My wife, by the way, is a perfect driver, but if you accelerate, you get some dings against you. But by doing so and basically putting in a Bluetooth tracking device, you can actually get cost benefit reductions.
Absolutely. Yep. So that State Farm has, it's called our Drive Safe and Save program, for exactly that. The safer you are as a driver, the better the rates, or the larger the discount that you'll receive, right? And it allows you to tailor what your insurance rates are based on your driving habits. So that's individual based on you versus the masses of a lot of the insurance rates are factored on where you live, the number of accidents, the type of car that you drive. But with the safe driving programs, that is individualized discount made just for you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that is, because when you're part of an insurance pool, whether you're health insurance or dental insurance, you're part of a pool. And that pool is based on actuarial factors, not to get too weedy here, but they're actuarial factors. There are a certain number of collisions per every 1,000 person, certain number of car wrecks or totals that when you total a car. So obviously being able to tailor to your own experience allows you to have a little bit more control in your premium, but also just control overall in the relationship.
Exactly. It brings awareness, right? To where if I know that my discount, right, or what I'm going to pay every single month is based on my driving habits, I'm going to be more aware of how sharp I take right turns, how sharp I take left turns, my acceleration, so on and so forth. And that's what many of our customers have said, that it truly brings me awareness to my driving habits. And with you saying your wife being the safer driver, like that's what we hear all the time. Like, oh man, I won't let my spouse drive because they're not as safe as a driver as I am, so on and so forth. So it's funny, but it allows you to be in control and just makes you brings that awareness to you being a safer driver.
Ashley, if I'm going to go out and get, when you go out to buy a car, if I'm going to go out and buy a vehicle, and whether I lease or rent, that is a time. What are some of the things I need to know about, one, changing coverage, if I get a more expensive car or a less expensive car, or leasing versus buying that car through a 5-year amortization?
Sure. So we'll start with financing and leasing. So the big difference that a lot of people is surprised about is that when you lease a car, the leasing company has a minimum requirements on your liability insurance. So if you're at that level, so most leasing companies require your liability to be at $100,000, $300,000 for bodily injury and $100,000 of property damage. Where it's fine, and there's not that big of a difference if you're at that level. But if your liability limits are below that, for it to satisfy the lease for you have to increase those liability limits. So I guess that would be the biggest thing. If you're financing it, you could carry whatever liability limits that you choose. Whereas if you're leasing it, you have to meet those requirements right there. Another good thing when you're planning on going out to go buy a new vehicle would be, you are more than welcome. For us, we do it all the time, to where if you're thinking about going out and buying a vehicle, we'll give you a quote to say, hey, this is, if you choose to get this vehicle, this is what your insurance is going to look like. Because I think that's a little bit sometimes of a shocker for people, where yes, the car payments are one thing, but then how is my insurance going to be impacted by that?
That's a really good point. I mean, if you're going from a 4-door sedan to either a 2-door sports car, or if you buy a Ferrari or a Toyota Supra, let's be a little bit more practical here. Both great cars, but if you go from a 4-door sedan to a 2-door, there are probably predisposed actuarial assumptions that go with that might increase your cost a little bit. Also, if you go to an SUV, maybe SUVs are, I think they're probably more popular now versus the mid-sized sedans. So they probably would have different factors as well.
Exactly. Yep. And you hit the nail on the head, because the cost of an SUV to fix it is a lot more than a sedan. So that part, I mean, yes, you're safer because you've got more metal around you, but the insurance does tend to change going from a sedan to an SUV. That's correct.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, I want to go to a quick commercial break. This has been great. When we come back, we'll talk to Ashley more about State Farm and insurance, but also about umbrella coverage. You're going to want to hear this. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here, and if you're on Medicare, this is important. You're now entitled to eliminate copays and get dental care, dentures, eyeglasses, prescription coverage, in-home aids, unlimited transportation, and home-delivered meals, all at no additional cost. Plus, your zip code may have coverage with the Give Back benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every month. Look, with the uncertainty of the virus and vaccines, you need to get everything you're entitled to. Here's the bottom line. Call to get significant benefits at no additional cost and see if your zip code has coverage with the Give Back benefit. Millions of people have trusted the Medicare Coverage Helpline. You can too. Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-924-3920. That's 1-800-924-3920.
Welcome back. We're talking to Ashley King of State Farm Insurance. Ashley, thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
So I want to just finish off the conversation, and there's a lot more. I mean, people can certainly do their own research and go out to organizations like State Farm to kind of get more details. But let's, in the unfortunate event that you have a collision, let's talk about things you need to think about if and when you do, because you may get a fender bender, you may have someone hit you. A lot of things are outside of our control, unfortunately. What are some of the things we need to know about before when we contact a State Farm or another insurance agency?
Sure. I would say the biggest thing with a lot of people use the term full coverage when they're contacting an insurance company. I want liability only, or I want full coverage. That means totally different things, to where liability only is saying that you only want what is legal, what the legal requirement is on the road, to where there is no coverage to fix your vehicle if you get into an accident and you are at fault. What that also means, though, is that if you get hit by someone who, like a hit and run driver, that would not be covered underneath just liability only insurance. Whereas full coverage, that includes comprehensive, collision, rental car coverage, medical payments, and emergency roadside service, where the biggest thing is looking at for your collision coverage is, if I were to get into an accident tomorrow, what amount would I feel comfortable with setting my deductible at so that I could come up with quickly? And another big thing that we run into often is that people not wanting the collision coverage or thinking that they don't need it because they have an older model vehicle. And that's a thing, to where if you can financially come out of pocket tomorrow to either fix your car fully or put a down payment or purchase a car tomorrow, then yeah, that would be an option to consider removing collision coverage. But if it would be a huge financial burden and you could not fix your car out of pocket or purchase a vehicle tomorrow, then absolutely keep that collision coverage on there. Because that also means that from a rental car reimbursement standpoint, is if you get into an accident and your car is in the shop due to an accident, you have to have that collision coverage for you to be able to be provided a rental car. And the rental car coverage is it's minimal on your monthly premium, but it has such a big impact when it comes to a claim time. That's the first thing people ask for when they get into an accident of, okay, where do I need to take my car? And then when am I going to be put in a rental car?
Yeah, because you need to get to work. You need
Exactly.
Well, if you did need to get to work, unless you're working remotely right now. But
Right.
in the future, you will need to get to work. Will need to take the kids to practice, or you will need to go to the shopping mall to pick up groceries. So that's really important. Ashley, I want to switch gears. Let's talk about the umbrella policy, because this is something that you can actually get cost efficiencies and economical benefits when you kind of lump multiple insurance coverages under one umbrella. And that really is what an umbrella, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what an umbrella policy is.
Absolutely. Yep. So an umbrella policy it extends additional liability coverage, so protection for you over your cars, over your boats, over your homes. If you have rental properties, to where if someone takes legal action against you and they sue you for any kind of damage or any kind of insurance claim, you want to make sure that you have enough liability coverage to protect you in the court of law. So an additional liability, or an additional $1 million of coverage comes with an umbrella policy. That's the starting point. But it gives you that lay over all your home, your car, if you have boats, recreational vehicles, or rental properties.
And that's real smart because, in terms of economics, look, a State Farm is in a multitude of lines, right? I mean, you do auto insurance, but I'm sure you also do home coverage and some other lines of business as well. Maybe you do life insurance. And so if you can kind of bring them in under one umbrella, you can actually save yourself money. And that's not to say that maybe you're happy with your home insurance, but I think it's something, and maybe you can offer an opinion on this, it's something that you should at least consider in doing your due diligence.
Absolutely. If you have everything under one roof with one company, you're going to maximize your discounts, right? If you've got your auto with one company, your home with another, to where you're not taking advantage of the discounts that are offered by that company, I would strongly encourage you to get an overall insurance quote, an insurance plan from one company, because then you're going to look at your insurance holistically to say, hey, what from a discount standpoint, what does that look like? Like for State Farm, our two largest discounts that we have is our multi-car discount, as well as our multi-line discount for having the home, the auto, and the umbrella policy. And then it makes life simple for you, right? To where if anything happens or you have any insurance questions, you're calling one number versus saying, oh, who do I have my homeowner's insurance with? Oh, wait, I switched that or whatever it is, but it makes life simple. And then you have one company, one phone number to remember.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me ask you this, Ashley, and this is kind of out of left field, but I think it's important. I mean, we're talking about some very important concepts here. And oftentimes on this program, we talk about the concepts of financial literacy. That's budgeting, that's saving for your financial future, saving for a home. But there are some things that we've talked about this morning that should probably be part of that financial, I would lump in the financial literacy coverage. I mean, I would have loved, and again, life is a learned experience, but I would have loved as a younger person when I went through college or went through high school to learn about insurance, what insurance is. I mean, is that your thought? Is that your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. Right. I mean, especially, it does not matter if you're 16 years old or you're 60 years old, right? What our agency does is we want to educate you, right? We don't want insurance to look at just another bill that you pay every single month, because guess what? You got to make sure that you have the right coverages in place when you need it, right? It's easy to fall into I have no idea what insurance is and all this insurance jargon. Well, that's why you've got to be with the right company and have the right team backing you that's going to educate you in simplistic terms for you to get it, to where then you're going to be an informed consumer to say, yes, I need this coverage. No, I don't need this coverage. But also being with a company and a team that's going to grow with you, right? Because when you're 16 years old, you've got yourself, then you go off to college, then you may rent somewhere, and then you get engaged, then you have a home, to where your life needs change over that time. So you want to be with a company that's going to grow with you, but also tailor your coverage to make sure that you're protected at that chapter in life.
Yeah, well, very well said. I think we hit it all out of the park today, Ashley. Ashley King, great to see you as always. Wishing you a very happy new year. We look forward to having you back on the program in 2021. Thank you.
Wonderful, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Thanks for this opportunity.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest or someone you think we should talk to, then drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the info in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, check out our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Well, tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and we're taking a day off, but we're back again on Saturday, the 2nd, 2021. So until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a tax doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.